Where when you thought you have seen it all, and something comes out to surprise you. ZANU-PF continues to go on the offensive against SADC. I want us to take a listen to some of the snippets of this documentary, which is about 1 hour 7 minutes long, as you can see on the screen. But I'm going to pick some key points that I've picked up. The first issue that I want to address is this Grand Regional Scheme, the headline that you find on the Grand Regional Scheme. That's the headline. What they are literally saying is that SADC has plotted, it's a regional scheme. When you listen to that, of course, you won't expect nothing less than poor journalism, pure research, but just a monologue of somebody that is just ranting with because you can't make a documentary and you don't interview two opposite players in the documentary. Then you are not doing justice. Of course, you are pushing a certain narrative, but how can you push a narrative when you only interview the ones that are pro? It doesn't make any sense. It becomes gutter journalism. Anyway, let me just play a part that they say, and I'm going to make a comment, and then we're going to go deeper into when they were criticizing Never's Mumba. I'm going to give you my own thoughts and analysis based on this ZBC gutter journalism. Let us get to it.
The ZANU-PF in elections that were ushering in new councillors, members of parliament, senators, and a president. For the second time in its history, the country had one of its highest number of presidential candidates, a record 11, as the accommodative administration of President Mnangagwa created an enabling environment. Opposition parties such as the MDC.
Do you hear that? Already the rhetoric is like, this is coming from ZANU-PF. This is not coming from a national broadcaster that is supposed to be impartial, accommodative of President Idi Mnangagwa. Is already praising the president, which is not supposed to happen to a public broadcaster. They are supposed to be impartial. No matter who is ruling the country, they are supposed to show impartiality.
CCC, NCA, and many others went all out canvassing for votes, trekking every corner of the country unhindered.
That's a lie. It's a lie. Trekking every corner of the country unhindered. Are you really serious about this? Say that. What about the rally in Bindura that was cancelled? What about that rally that I showed you in the other video, where the police officer was demanding Nelson Chamisa to finish? What about the rally in Glenview, where we saw Tinashe Chitsungo getting killed? Are you really serious about the fact that we have got more than 31 rallies that were stopped by Mumba, by the police, when they say but none of the rallies of the incumbent were stopped? So you can see this is pure bias. Let's listen further.
Of significant note amongst the opposition was the CCC, the Citizens Coalition for Change, previously the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance. Traditionally identifiable with the Urbanites, the formation, which was hastily put in place, went all out in its bid to garner support in a very conducive.
Do you hear that? Hastily put in place, which means that it was done in haste, like the inauguration. Like the inauguration that was done. It was done in haste. This is the same way that you're saying. He doesn't comment about that. So you can see how so biased ZBC is. Very, very biased. And I really pity for the people that are working in ZBC, because they are forced to do this. And in the process, they are losing their credibility. Who is going to employ you in the event that you have lost your job and you have left ZBC, what kind of credential are you going to carry if you are always been reporting like this? What credibility are you going to carry? Can you go and work for a regional news channel, like probably like Newsroom Africa or BBC Africa, or any other platform, so to speak? Right, let's continue listening further.
Inclusive environment that has been prevailing in the country owing to the Second Republic of Zimbabwe. Records provided by the Zimbabwe Republic Police and verified on the ground indicated that the opposition outfit got more political rally approvals than the ruling ZANU-PF acquired, as the accommodative leader of Zimbabwe kept preaching the gospel of peace, tolerance, and harmony before, during, and after the elections.
We want our elections to be free of violence. I plead with you, it's more important, it's more powerful for us to be peaceful. It's more powerful. It means we are mature. We must preach love. We must preach unity. People are allowed to differ. You must allow your brother, your sister to differ with you, but never be violent because your sister is different with you, because your brother is different with you. No.
However, for the opposition, in a country that was on such a growth trajectory, there simply was nothing much to sell to the electorate, save for primarily capitalizing on the elevated prices of basic commodities that were timeously and artificially created in a bid to stimulate dissent amongst the electorate. Still, ZANU-PF read.
Do you hear that? The message of the president, very good, to say we want peace, we are allowed to differ, which we are doing right now. But in action, what do the people of ZANU-PF do? They do the opposite. But let's just now listen to the part where they were talking about Nevers Mumba and find out how they talk about this the SADC observer mission, head of mission.
The unprecedented media show and defense onslaught he went on in Zimbabwe was simply quite telling. Mumba could not resist the lens of any camera and a microphone in Harare, grabbing any media opportunity he got to spit his toxic rants. In fact, he currently holds the record as the most interviewed and longest speaking election observer in the history of Zimbabwe. As someone who lacked proper diplomatic refinement, his preacher instinct quickly kicked in as he went on an offensive.
It is like a football team. You support a particular team and it is competing with another. You lose. I mean, how do you expect the person to say, no, it was, the referee was okay, everything was okay? No. So, no, Dr. Nevers Mumba is a person of interest. He's a person of interest. There is no way he would see anything other than his interest.
All right. This, I think we've addressed in the past broadcasts where we spoke about, number one, what they're saying. He held so many interviews and cameras. As a journalist or as somebody who's producing a documentary, can you show the interviews that Nevers Mumba did in Harare? Didn't Nevers Mumba go to ZANU-PF headquarters? Didn't Nevers Mumba go to any other political players? Didn't he meet the president of Zimbabwe? So where was the bias now? And if I recall correctly, Nevers Mumba only did that press conference. After doing that press conference, he took questions, and that was that. And then he later was interviewed when he was in Zambia. That's the second time that I recall him being on camera. So as a journalist that is reporting, you must produce some form of evidence that Nevers Mumba was grabbing every opportunity he got to speak to camera. So for me, this is another form of poor journalism again. But not only that, the problem here is they are attacking Nevers Mumba, but they are ignoring the facts that he brought on the ground. Did Nevers Mumba speak ill about ZANU-PF? No, he didn't speak ill about ZANU-PF. He only spoke about ZEC. he spoke about FAS, which is a subsidiary of ZANU-PF. So did he speak bad, but he just said there was a group which was collecting data. He was reporting facts as they were, which ZBC does not do. ZBC or even ZANU-PF guys, they don't report things as they were. Yes, there was no violence. Of course, there was Nashi Tsungo was killed. And other violence that we saw, it was moderately peaceful in comparison with other elections. However, the problem that we see is the issue that Nevas Mumba addressed was the issue of bias that we are seeing right now of ZBC having to spend money to go to Zambia so that they can just speak bad about the head of SADC Observer Mission. Number two, interviewing people from the opposition party, which ZNBC would not be allowed to do if ZNBC would come to Zimbabwe and interview Nelson Chamisa. They'll be deported immediately. That I can tell you. They'll be deported immediately. Any national broadcaster, just for them to go and interview Nelson Chamisa and get all this. That's why you saw Al Jazeera when they came, they had to come undercover. So these are some of the things that you then look at, say, okay, gone are the days that you could fool us that you were just one station. You are in this technology age of internet. When we talk of the traditional media, it is closed. You can close that one. You can close the radio, but you can't close WhatsApp. You can't close Facebook. You can't close TikTok. You can't close Twitter. You can't close all these other avenues. They are disseminating information before it reaches you. Bring your propaganda. Already people know what is happening. So I would like to hear from you. What do you make of this investment by ZBC or probably by ZANU-PF of going all out to criticize the presidents of Hakainde Hichilema, to criticize Nevas Mumba, criticize SADC, speak lies about what was happening on the ground and ignoring the true facts? What do you make of this? And do you think that ZANU-PF or even our country is going to leave SADC because of this report? Are they trying to leave SADC? Is Zimbabwe trying to leave SADC? I would love to hear your thoughts and what you think about the style of reporting that ZBC did and the investment that they had to undertake for them just to bring this story to the ZBC listeners. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next video. So bye for now.